Our next presenter is Marilyn Kaufman. Marilyn is a true believer in lifelong learning and eternal progression. She started her metaphysical journey studying Healing Tao Meditation for many years. She has since become a certified Hatha Yoga Teacher, Reiki and Energy Practitioner, and certified Hypnotherapist. Marilyn has studied the Energy program at Transformational Arts College and the Teacher/Healer program at the Rocky Mountain Mystery School in Toronto. She attended the School of Spiritual Hypnotherapy given by Dick Sutphin at Fellowships of the Spirit in Lilydale, and learned between life soul regression from Dr. Linda Backman, who worked very closely with Dr. Michael Newton at the Raven Heart Center in Boulder, Colorado. This year, she received her Master of Hypnosis certification from Georgina Cannon in Toronto. Marilyn has been offering regression sessions for 10 years and has found all of her training to be very effective, sometimes combining regression therapy, chakra clearing, and energy work all together. She always works very intuitively, relying very closely on the assistance of her spirit guides. So please welcome Marilyn.
First of all, I want to thank everyone for organizing this. I think it's a great opportunity to get to know the Niagara community and for us to grow spiritually. Also, thank you to Louise and Shar for your talks, and hope I can keep your interest as well. Sometimes our greatest enlightenment comes from our greatest difficulties. The challenges that you experience help you to grow spiritually. I started my spiritual journey in a big way 20 years ago when one of my daughters was raped and became suicidal. I was a mom and I was going to fix it for her, but I couldn't. And she struggled for 2 years until she got back on track. And I turned to meditation, and I can honestly tell you that meditation saved my life, and possibly hers. And today, 20 years later, she is my most spiritual child, far outreaching my spirituality. She puts me in my place all the time. That's the things you get. But we don't incarnate on this earth, taking on a physical body to have an easy life. There is no such thing as meaningless suffering. However, it's not that easy to understand that when we're going through the suffering. Regression can help you understand what you're going through. There's a lot of reasons people come to me for past life regressions. A big one is curiosity. Who am I? Where else did I live? When else did I live? Why was I born with this amazing talent? I didn't learn this, I just brought this with me. Did I have a past life with a certain person? Someone I connected with just immediately, someone I fell in love with immediately, someone I can't connect with at all. Sometimes during a regression, I have you look around at other people and I have you look into their eyes, because eyes are the window to the soul. And even though it may be your grandmother in this life, it could be your son or your husband or someone else in a past life. So we always do that. If you're wanting to know about having a regression or having a connection with another person, I will have you look into their eyes. Another reason people come is for healing. They want to explore the causes for anxiety or unexplainable fears, emotional challenges, self-esteem issues, overwhelming guilt. This is a big one. I'll talk about that a bit later. Poor relationships and unhealthy patterns. If the issue is from a past life, just uncovering the cause will often alleviate the effect. And an example of that is I had a friend who had 3 sons and her husband bought a 40-foot sailing boat. Now, they were going to spend their summers out on the water in the boat, and the first time they went out, she got sick to her stomach, she couldn't stand it, she just wanted to get back to shore. They raised the sails, she hated the sound of the sails, she couldn't, they had to leave, they had to go back to dock. the dock. So I regressed her and she went back to a life. She found herself on the docks. She was in England. She felt she was Dutch because she was wearing wooden shoes. And she was coming with her husband to the Americas. Long story short, there was a big storm at sea. Everybody was rushing down the steps, but she was going up the steps looking for her husband. And as she got up to the top of the deck, the mast broke in half, and the sails were just flapping in the wind crazy. The boat capsized and everybody died. So just understanding that that was what was causing her fear alleviated the effect. So of course, because I worked through hypnosis, I was able to give her hypnotic suggestion that she could go out onto the boat and be calm. It didn't happen immediately, but she was able to spend her summer on the boat. Like, you know, it's a little slow to start, but she did get there. Healing doesn't happen just on a physical level, but also emotional and energetic level. And many times, healing requires forgiveness, not just of the people who have done you wrong in the past, but when you have done the wrongdoing. When I took my past life regression training, the teacher, we were regressed every day, and the teacher wanted to show us how many different ways we could go back, or we could take people back. So one day, he had us regress to the time when we were the biggest victim and the biggest perpetrator. So when I was the biggest victim, I was a soldier, probably in England or Spain, and I knew this because I was wearing one of those silver hats that has that ridge down the middle, and I thought it was Spanish right away, but I saw one in the Tower of London, so it could have been. And I was sent ahead as a scout to find where our enemy was. I was captured by the enemy and tortured for information. And when I didn't speak, they chopped off one of my legs. And then I still didn't speak, and they chopped off my other leg, and they died. Now I want you to know that when you experience something like this, you do it without pain and without extreme emotion. Otherwise, no one would want to do this. When I was the biggest perpetrator, I found myself in the bottom of the Colosseum. I was not a nice person. I loved to torment the men who were going out to face the animals. I tortured them, and I loved to see them being ripped apart by the animals. Now I can tell you that I have personally progressed from that stage of that person who I was. I can't even look at roadkill now. But one of the funny things, I was in a class of 12 people, and 2 of the other people who were there, their biggest victim, they were in the bottom of the Colosseum. So I apologized to them, and even if they weren't the people with me, I did it on behalf of the people who I tortured. And although healing is a wonderful thing and a wonderful result of regression, what I really want you to take away from a session is the knowledge that you are an eternal, multi-dimensional being. You are not your current personality. You do not have just one chance at life, and then you either go to heaven or suffer eternal damnation. You progress at your own rate. And when you have learned everything that you can learn on this earth by taking a physical body, you don't have to come back anymore. You move on to other dimensions, you learn new things, and new ways to progress. Earth, by the way, is one of the hardest planes to live, but it's also one of the planes, or one of the worlds, that offers the greatest learning. So sometimes when people come to me and they want to regress to another life or another circumstance, they go to a place that isn't on Earth. And sometimes they feel that they aren't of Earth, and so they ask to go to specific places. For example, one person I regressed went to a creative world. She had to invent a new flower, I know this sounds like a fun task or an easy task, but she had to be very careful that it didn't, that it was very harmonious with the existing flora and fauna, and that it didn't upset the existing ecosystem. This is a really great way for people who feel that they've been abducted or that they have indeed had life on other planets. And there are other planes on other planets. So during hypnosis, you are in a very relaxed state of mind, so that a relaxed state, so that you can access your subconscious mind. And we just learned a lot about our subconscious mind. But your subconscious mind is also the place where all your past life memories exist. So after 2 or 3 past lives, I will also take you to your superconscious mind. And your superconscious mind is another way of saying your higher self. Your higher self is that part of your spirit that comes into your body when you incarnate. There's always a part of your spirit that stays in spirit world, and that's how you work. That's how you get your intuition. It comes through your higher self. That percentage of your spirit that comes into your body can also split and go into more than one body, and that's what a twin flame is. A lot of people come to me and say, I think I met my twin flame, but it's not always the case. It's pretty rare that someone meets a twin flame. I have only met one person who met their twin flame, and they got married, but they could not live together because they're just way too much alike. But they are still friends, best friends today. So when you connect to your higher self, we do this, and you can call in your spirit guides. And they will help you understand the past lives that you just experienced. So before we start a regression, we talk for a good long time, and I explain the process to you and everything. But I also ask you what you want to explore, and that's how I know how to direct you back to a certain life. Occasionally, people will go back to a different life than where I directed them. And this is because your subconscious mind knows what you need to heal. Like if you need something to heal, you might not even realize it yourself, or you might be blocking that. But your subconscious mind knows. So it's always amazing when your spirit guides are explaining why you went back to these past lives. And that's when the healing begins. It's like having an aha moment. And everything just clicks into place. This is often the case when people have developed unhealthy patterns. And unhealthy patterns don't just happen in this life, but they happen in past lives as well, leading up to this life. So when you're communicating with your guides, and this is done telepathically, you can ask any question you like. But you'll often find that you have the answers already to yourself. But your guides will help you remember the answers, and it's always great to get that confirmation that, yes, that was the right answer. Yes, you did know what to do. Yes, you are doing the right thing. And sometimes it's just enough to be there in their presence and feel the pure love that they radiate. Another type of regression I do is a between life regression, and this is the work of Dr. Michael Newton. It starts with a past life. You go to a very significant past life, often something that will help you understand. And I progress you through that life to the point, to the last day of that life. Again, we're doing this without pain and without extreme emotion. You kind of look at it as an observer. I fast forward you to the moment when your spirit leaves your body. So you are observing your body laying there. That's what the case is. I was hung one time, so I wasn't laying there. When you get to that state, and your spirit guides come in and say, they kind of take over. At this point, they take over because they know what's best for your highest good. I'm kind of just there as a facilitator anyway. And you're experiencing this from the point of your immortal self, not your human self. They often, one of the first things they do is take you to a place of healing. Especially if the past life was extremely difficult or if it ended traumatically, like being hung. One woman I regressed went back to a life as a Roman soldier, and she saw herself wearing the short skirt and the sandals that laced up her legs, and she didn't have a shirt on, but she had a helmet, and she carried a whip. And she was very proud of her position, and she took it very seriously. So what she was supposed to do was to keep people in line. And she would use her whip occasionally when she had to keep them in line. I fast-forwarded her to another major event in that life, and she found herself sitting at the hill of Calvary. And she realized that she was one of the soldiers who had, was responsible for crucifying Jesus Christ. And she was horrified. She was very distraught. She kept saying, they lied to me, they lied to me. I just thought he was another criminal. I didn't realize who he was. But from hearing everything that everyone else was saying, she realized what she had done, and she actually could not give up her job as a Roman soldier because that's all she did. But she carried that guilt with her all the rest of that life and died very lonely. She also carried that guilt through many lives. And so when the spirit guides met her, another spirit showed up with her, and it was the spirit of Mother Mary. She was horrified. She couldn't look at her. She just kept saying, I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was doing, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Mother Mary took her by the hand and led her to a pool of healing. She sat on it, Mary sat on the edge, and she healed. She goes, I have forgiven you, my son has forgiven you. You need to heal yourself. And with time, she was able to do that. This is just one of the ways you can be healed, and it's really done on an energetic level. And I get very involved in these healings as well, emotionally. Another really amazing thing about between life regression is that you can meet the spirits of your deceased loved ones. It's very beautiful and very emotional when a mother meets the deceased child. One mother learned why her child was born unhealthy and why he died so young. As it turned out, he was her spirit guide. And they had set up an agreement before she incarnated because she needed to evolve further. And what we discovered, again, one of these unhealthy patterns through lifetimes, is that when she lost someone, she grieved so heavily that she could not do what she wanted to accomplish, what she had set out. She couldn't achieve the spiritual contracts that she had sent out. So she needed to find this realization and understand that they would be together again and they would have more lives together. He was also part of her soul. So reducing grief, knowing that your deceased loved ones are well and that you will be together with them again, is a huge benefit of this type of regression. You also understand that challenges and hardships are only temporary, and that love is what's most important in this life, not power and material gain, as the world would have us believe. When your soul enters your body, clarity of who we really are, an eternal spirit, starts to disappear. And as we age, we act on baser frequencies of fear, anger, and intolerance. We forget our divinity. But while we are on life, and we have a human body, we can't fail. There is no judgment in spirit world. There are no egos there. It is a world of love and joy. And when we die, we leave our egos with our bodies. And if we don't set out to do everything we wanted to accomplish or fulfill all the spiritual contracts that we set up, we just come back when we're ready to. There's no rushing, it's when we're ready. Sometimes a life that appears to be failed from a worldly point of view is actually a success from a soul point of view. Also during a between life regression, you get to visit many people visit a great library or the Hall of Records, and this is where your Akashic records are. You get to review all your past lives. You get to realize what you have accomplished. And you also get to decide what you want to accomplish in your next or current life. This is called pre-life planning. Spiritual contracts are set up with members of your soul group. And sometimes, to help you learn, a member of your soul group will actually take a negative role. So that person that you can't get along with at all might be a member of your soul group. Not always. A friend of mine had a family member who always created, it was her brother. Her brother married this woman, and she always created nothing but trouble for the family. And so when she found out that she was a member of her soul group, she was very upset. So I gave her a book to read on the subject, and with time she came to understand the concept and how it helped her, because when you have these challenges, it's what helps you grow spiritually. Another woman saw herself volunteer to be part of a very tragic event that happened in her life. And by understanding that she actually volunteered to be there to do this, it helped to empower her, rather when she could have very easily become a victim. A handicapped person might volunteer to come down with a handicap, one, for accelerated learning, what it's like to be handicapped, to let people help them, and it may be to help a member of their soul group. And I know this happens in my own family, to help them to learn and to grow, to learn patience and caregiving. But we don't just plan our challenges, we also plan our successes. We set up key triggers, and I don't know how we do this, but we set up key triggers so that when the right path or what we should be doing is presented to us, we recognize it. And that's why whenever we're on the right path, things just seem to flow. Understanding pre-life planning is a great part of between-life regression. You can choose why you came to the family you have, and you do choose your parents and your children. You can meet your soul group, who are spirits that you incarnate with time and time again. You can get an understanding of your life purpose, if you're on the right path. You can find out what your soul color is, and your soul color is an indication of your soul maturity. Are you a new soul or an old soul? And you can find out what your calling is while you exist, because we all have callings in spirit world while we're here in body and when we're not here in body. We are in spirit world and we have callings there. Some people are spirit guides, junior spirit guides, teachers. Some people welcome people as they come in. And sometimes you can meet a council of elders and get advice for your pre-life planning your next life. I feel very humbled to share these experiences with people. I know that when we do this work and we live accordingly, we raise our vibrations. And when we raise our vibrations, like a single drop of dye in a glass of water, we raise the vibration of the Niagara area. And when we raise the vibration of the Niagara area, we raise the vibration of the collective conscious of our world. And as it turns out, it sends out ripples to the whole universe. I always like to end a talk with words of wisdom I've gained from my spirit guides. Don't worry so much. Don't be so serious. Go with the flow. Find love, joy, and happiness. You have an eternity to get there. Make decisions based on love, not fear. Follow your heart. And my personal favorite one is look at the world through spiritual eyes. When times get tough, and they will, we all go through challenges, look through spiritual eyes. When you're looking through your human eyes, you see the pain, the suffering, the loss. But when you're looking at spiritual eyes, you'll know that it's only temporary, and that you will be with your deceased loved ones again. And we're all going to return home to a world of love and joy and peace. Thank you.